Hello everyone, welcome aboard. So again, today we have brought you the new session for today's current affairs, and today we are going to discuss the current affairs of 28th May. And this session has been brought to you by UPSC-IAS classes. If you want to join for 2021 batch of IAS or KAS in Kannada or English medium, you can always visit www.himalayasclasses.com, or you can reach out to us on this given number. So let's get started. Significance of the current affairs. As I have told you earlier as well, prelims, you have straightforward questions from the current affairs. Mains, you have direct as well as indirect questions. You need to use a lot of current affair examples while answering your mains question. Then in essay also, where you have to give diverse opinion about the topic, there they are very handy. And of course, interview, most of the questions which are asked, they are about the contemporary issues. So let's get started with the news item first of today, which is about Donald Trump's, the American president, has offered to mediate between the ongoing tensions between India and China. So he has offered this mediation for the first time when it comes to India-China relation. And he has already offered for mediating between India and Pakistan. So prelims, it comes under international relations, and mains, this is the part of general studies paper 2. So India-China issue, we have seen the tensions at the line of actual control. Okay, so India-China boundary, that is decided by McMahon line. But after the 1962 war, the actual line of control is different than the McMahon line, and that's where the status quo remains. Both the armies of the countries, they guard either side of this line. Okay, the major areas where this troubles are happening are Pangong Taso Lake, which is a lake, saltwater lake in Ladakh, Galwan River, Demchuk. These both the places are located in Ladakh, and Nakula. This is a place located in Sikkim. Okay, as of now, India has not said anything about this, and there is a biannual, every second year, army conference which is going on as of now between India and China, and there they are trying to resolve these disputes. Okay, US pitching up to mediate between India and China is also important at this time, because we have seen in the past that US and China are also having their issues from a long period of time. Okay, like issue about Hong Kong, we'll be discussing this in today's session as well. Then about COVID, US is accusing China of not sharing the transparent information or timely information about the outbreak of this coronavirus, plus trade barriers or trade sanctions, which both the countries, they have applied on each other. That is also another outstanding issue between US and China. So this United States offer has to be seen in this larger context of existing US-Chinese issue. Again, so why this is happening? So there were multiple articles in today's newspaper. We have just summarized it all. So actually, on the line of control, earlier only Chinese had the infrastructure. So they were doing more patrolling because they had roads, they had more army posts. Now, especially in the Ladakh region, Indians have built this Darbuk Shok Daulat Beg Oldie road. Okay, so this road actually, it runs parallel to line of actual control, and that's where we are doing frequent patrolling these days. And that is where Chinese are getting irritated and they are creating problems. Okay, so they have, in order to counter this, they have increased their activity near Galwan River and Pangong Lake, which we have seen the other areas where the issues are coming up. Okay, so basically, if you want to summarize why this LAC issues are coming up, so one is, in the heart of the issue lies the border dispute between the two countries. Well said, we all know about that. On top of it, the infrastructure development which India has done, both in the northeastern region, which is ongoing, border road organization, Bharatmala program, as well as in the Ladakh region. So that is, giving problems to Chinese, and they are creating problems because we are doing more frequent patrolling on the border regions. Okay, so sorry about this, you can ignore this one. So next important topic for today is the swarm. Swarm is a group of locusts which are an insect which is actually causing many problems in major portions of India. Okay, we'll see how it is connected to the climate change as well. So when it comes to the prelims, this is a major threat for the food security. So you can consider it as a part of Indian economy, or you can consider it as part of EVS also. Okay, because agriculture, insect, pesticide, they are part of environmental science as well. Means you put it in environmental science or Indian economy, it is going to be the part of general studies paper 3, because both these subjects are part of GS paper 3 in the mains. Okay. So in the western part of the country, like Rajasthan, even Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh, we have seen that these insects, which is called locust, they are coming in huge numbers, like millions. They are stretched up to a kilometer, 1 square kilometer area, and they are eating up the crops. Okay, so that is going to create a situation of food insecurity in the country, because it's one locust can eat up to its weight. Now imagine there will be millions of locusts in one swarm, and these are increasing, and potentially the locust warning organization, which is part of Ministry of Agriculture, please remember this organization, locust warning organization, which is headquartered in Jodhpur and is part of Ministry of Agriculture, has said that this can be the potentially one of the biggest attack in decades coming from this locust. Okay, so they are a threat to the farming and food security. Now, there is a phenomenon called positive Indian Ocean dipole. You would have heard about it in the geography. Okay, so positive Indian Ocean dipole is nothing but the Arabian Ocean. It becomes more warm than usual. That is known as positive Indian Ocean dipole. Negative is just opposite to that. So when it becomes more warm, okay, then it brings more rainfall in India as well as Eastern Africa. So in Eastern Africa, this more rainfall has led to the moist atmosphere in the desert. This moist atmosphere in the desert has provided a very nice breeding ground for these insects. That's where they have started traveling from Africa, Eastern Africa, all the way to Pakistan, even Saudi Arabia, Oman, and now they have entered into India. Then the rain bearing winds, which are coming towards India. See, there is one specialty of these locusts. Wherever towards whichever direction the wind blows, they follow that path. Okay. So as of now, the direction of wind, you all know this is the monsoon season, and it will be blowing from Indian Ocean towards India. So sorry, from Arabian Ocean towards India in this direction. So that's what they are bringing them towards us. Also, they are usual threats. So there are coordinated activities between India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, other Arabian countries to stop their breeding. Okay, but because of this COVID-19 situation, this activities that were also disrupted. Okay, so as of now, you have a sowing season. We all know Kharif season is coming up. Okay, in India, where the rice and crops related to it, they will be sown. So this, and plus this monsoon condition has created very conducive conditions for their growth. So this might, their numbers might increase, and they might become a bigger threat. Okay. Also, the locust as of now, whose breeding ground is somewhere in Baluchistan, which is located in Pakistan. So once they are coming to India, they have a small life cycle, but immature locusts, the small locusts which are coming to India, they are even bigger threat than the mature ones. Why? Because they will breed, okay, and then they will increase their population. So they have like more lifespan, which they are going to spend in Indian territory, and it is going to cause more problems. So government is actually spraying malathion. If you want to remember this name of the pesticide, malathion. They are using for treating this pest or insect. Okay, so that was about this one of the biggest threat which has come to our territory after this COVID. Next is migration issue. So today there is an article in Hindu. We have all seen there is a big migration which is happening in India. So this article talks about what are the causes for migration and what it tries to achieve and what has to be done in order to solve this problem of huge migration in the Indian subcontinent or Indian country. So subject, it relates to human geography. You can talk about economics because migration, unemployment, both the topics of the economy. So if you put it, read it as human geography, there can be a question in the GS paper 1. If you read it as part of economics, then you can get a question in the GS paper 3. So migration, what this article is trying to tell us, in India, internal migration means interstate and intrastate. That itself is about 45 crores. So there are 45 crore people who are living outside where they usually used to live. Okay. In the terms of economy, what this migration does is, see, people migrate in terms of better quality of life, for better employment opportunity, for better health, better educational facilities. Okay, women, their cause for migration might be sometimes related to marriage also. Okay, this migration which is related to the better employment opportunities or better educational opportunities, especially it results in the more efficient resource allocation. See, people are not getting paid much in their own place. There might be a need for the job in some other area where if they go and work, so their skill will be rewarded and that skill is needed in that place. So in that way, migration actually results in the more efficient resource allocation. Okay, but as of now, this problem of migration which has started happening because of this COVID, people are returning to their home and now they have to be provided with some skill, facility, jobs in that their own place. So for that, rather than centralized policies or the central government only making policies for solving migrant issues, we need some decentralized political power. See, local governments or the state governments, they know better which skill can be utilized, which demand is there in the local areas. Okay, for doing that, state needs more funds as well. It's not that they are overflowing with the funds in this COVID crisis. Anyways, treasuries are empty, let it be central government or state government. So definitely they'll be needing some financial support from the central government and other support as well. Also, the performance of the state can be incentivized rather than they just doing everything on their own. See, this incentivization works in other areas as well. If you would have heard about this 15th Finance Commission, okay, the first report which has been tabled. So there also it has incentivized the grants or the money which has to be shared between center and states, okay, on the basis of their performance. Then this article tells you the 4 steps which has to be taken. First is saying that the sustainable economics for the villages has to be at the epicenter of this next planning of providing jobs. Then we need to rebuild the rural economy so that these migrant workers can get the jobs in the nearby areas. Also, we need to have some work from home facility for these semi-skilled or unskilled laborers, as well as a migration plan in place. If in any situation they have to move at this large scale, so there must be some arrangement so that the lives of the people which is being lost in present situation, that can be saved. Another thing which this article is trying to focus is we should provide more funding, not just to the states. Through states, it should move towards Panchayati Raj bodies, Panchayati Raj institutions, as well as urban local bodies, because they can play a significant role in meeting the requirements of local areas and creating employment opportunities there. Okay. Next article in the today's paper talks about China and Hong Kong issue. So we have mentioned this between US, China also. US has said that it is going to take away the special trade status which has been given to China as well as Hong Kong. So let us see here what is the issue. Part, it is in prelims, international relations, and international relations in the mains is part of general studies paper 2. Okay. So first and foremost, see, Hong Kong was a British colony. After 1997, it was given to China, and it functions on the principle of one country, two system. So there is a legislative council, okay, which makes all the laws for Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is called as a special administrative region. Okay, it has some autonomy in legislative, executive, and judicial areas. So earlier also you would have seen this China-Hong Kong problems which are happening a lot from long time. So first there was a national anthem bill which was brought in China, which says that if anybody anywhere, even in Hong Kong, they disrespected the national anthem of Chinese, then that can be brought under trial. So one was opposition to that. Then now they are coming up with the national security laws. Under this legislative council, which works on the basic law, which governs the Hong Kong, okay, and which governs the relationship between Hong Kong and China. That is known as basic law. So there is an article 23 which says that the laws related to national security has to be made by the Legislative Council of Hong Kong itself. But Chinese are trying to bypass this and create a national security law for Hong Kong. So it's sort of trying to take more control over Hong Kong, and people there are opposing this because there is a growing support for full democracy, which is not available in China. Hong Kong has some more freedom if you compare in any area in comparison to China, and they don't want the Chinese type of system to be imposed on Hong Kong. That is why all this problems is happening between China and Hong Kong. Okay. Next is today's article, which is by Honorable Vice President Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. Okay, so recently, if you remember, the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, as third tranche or part of this Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, agricultural reforms, they were announced. So somewhere this article talks about what are the problems and challenges faced by the Indian farmers and how this reform can address these issues. So again, it is related to agriculture. So in the prelims, it is part of the Indian economy, and mains, Indian economy is part of the GS paper 3. So in a nutshell, what this article is saying, that the major cause, as you can see, the headline of the article is freedom of the market. Okay, so major cause of this vulnerable situations of the Indian farmer is because they do not have, access to market independently. They are blocked by APMC market rules. They are blocked by various state laws. They are blocked by central laws. Okay, and he tries to analyze the causes of it, and he relates it to the Bengal famine in the prior independence time, when there was a huge shortage of the food. Then at the same time, World War II, again shortage time. Then food crisis of 1960s. So all these things led to inaction of acts like ECA, Essential Commodities Act, because the availability or supply of the food was less. So government made a law saying that nobody can overstock these commodities. Okay. Later on, we have come up with this APMC Act also. There is a restriction in the market. One district farmer can sell into one mandi, what it is known as, or one market, there also, who has the license. So it is like very restricted choices when it comes to the market for farmer. Plus, in any way, we lack infrastructure. Let's just say cold storage, or the storage or transportation facility for the perishable items. Okay, even the storage warehouses. So immediately building up all that is not possible. All those steps are being taken, but this is a long way ahead. So for that, the only most important way can be the reform or providing more choice to the Indian farmer in terms of market, so that he can sell his produce wherever he is getting the best prices. So that's the core argument in this article, which Honorable Vice President is trying to make. And he is saying that agricultural reforms, which has been introduced as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, is a correct step in this direction. Okay, so we have discussed this in the class as well. We all know that there are some legislative reforms, then there are reforms for micro food industries, reforms for fisheries, okay, for beekeeping, for medicinal plants, which has come up. And along with it, there are 3 legislative reforms related to Essential Commodities Act, the APMC Act, as well as contract farming, which is going to provide more number of choices to Indian farmer in terms of access to the market. Okay. Then there is a very nice article today which talks about the supply chain disruption. So supply chain disruption is, imagine somebody is doing mining. From mining, somebody is making some metal. From that metal, somebody is making, let us say, capital machine for bakery. Then that machine is being used for producing bread. Then finally that bread is coming to you guys by some distribution network. Trucks are bringing it. There is some storehouse. So this is known as whole supply chain. So this article tries to argue that this government intervention can cause trouble while handling this supply chain disruption which has happened in the economy because of COVID crisis. So again, let's connect it to the syllabus first. Prelims, it is part of the Indian economy, supply chains, direct topic from general studies, paper 3, because Indian economy is a part of GS paper 3. So what it is trying to say, that the output means the output of production in the Indian economy has declined because of supply chain disruption. Supply chain disruption means raw material is not coming, intermediate goods you are not getting. Anything if you are not getting, you cannot create a whole product. Take the same example of the bakery, of bread. If let us say some persons will be needing new machines to create bread. Okay, so those machines are not in making as of now. Why? Because raw material itself is not coming. Or let us say people are making bread, but there are trucks which are not available to deliver it. Then why is going to create the breads? Okay, or in between, imagine like some intermediate goods like wheat has to be brought in. Then how without transport a person can bring the wheat? So that is known as supply chain disruption. Any disruption in the starting to end, upstream or downstream value chain. So that is causing the disruption, and that is causing the decline in the output. Now, as of now, government has allowed the essential goods, but actually it is going to cause problems for essential as well as non-essential good. For example, imagine the machine which is making bread is non-essential as of now. But after some times, let us say 100 or 1000 bakeries in India wants a replacement for the machine to make breads. So then bread is an essential good and machine you need for making bread, then how you can make the bread? So actually it is going to cause the problems for both non-essential as well as the essential goods. Also, this problem or the disruption of the supply chain, it might get amplified by this labor shortage, which has happened, which is happening in India because of this large scale migration which is taking place in India. Today we have discussed about that as well, right? So now, if India would have been, imagine a rich country, a very developed countries with full load of money, then we could have substituted the labor by capital. Means you could have invested in the machines which could have done the automated work. You wouldn't have needed the labor. But in India, that is also not possible. You don't have that much money, so you need to have labors. So what is going to happen now? People who have migrated, labor is not available, so the supply chains have to adapt themselves. So new supply chains have to be created. So productive capacity has to be built nearby regions wherever the labor is available, or they have to utilize the nearby labor force which is available for production. In government spending, this article says that the government is trying to spend money, but it spends by deficit financing, by directly funding, or by printing money. It is saying in all the cases, actually the resource gets transferred from the taxpayer or from the people towards the government. The argument which it is trying to make is when people spend money or the businessman spend money, he uses it more efficiently. But when the government spend money, so government spending money means bureaucratic or machinery or bureaucracy spending money, then they are not business minded. So then those people cannot have very efficient use of the resources. So that is another challenge which this article is trying to argue. And in the suggestion this article is giving is the government should resort to cutting its own expenditure. It should remove the price controlling mechanism. It gives the example of West Germany after Second World War. And it should boost more trade so that new supply chains can be created as soon as possible by the market itself, not by the intervention of the government. Okay. Now, this is the last topic for today. Nepali Foreign Minister, okay, Pradeep Kumar Gayawali, he has said India should pull out the forces from Kalapani. So again, we have discussed it. Again, we'll just give you the brief about this. So Kalapani is a place which is located in Uttarakhand, as far as India is concerned, and Nepal is showing Kalapani and Lipu Lake area in its own map. Okay, so that is what has become the bone of contention between the two countries. So again, it is a part of prelims, international relation, and this is a part of general studies, paper 2 in the mains. So here, two things you should know. We have discussed in earlier topic as well, so I'm not going into much of detail today. So Kalapani is a border dispute, and this originates from the Treaty of Sagauli, which was the result of First Anglo-Nepal War, which happened in 1815. Okay, so here what has happened? No, a lot of boundaries, they have been decided by the rivers. Now these Himalayan rivers, in geography you would have read, more the erosion in its upper course, more will be the shifting in the middle course. So because of that, this Himalayan river, as soon as they descend from Himalayas, they start shifting their courses. So now border in Treaty of Sagauli is like, okay, wherever Mahakali river originates, that's where will be the border of India and Nepal. Now that river has moved, let's say a little bit of left or right. So now, now the confusion is because of that. So that is what both the countries have to resolve. Okay, and this is a borders dispute which has to be resolved amicably between both the countries. Okay, so that was it for today's, guys. This is a list of do's and don'ts which you can use for maximizing your chances of selection in the prelims examination. Please stay tuned and do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll be back again tomorrow with next news analysis of the day. So thank you very much for watching.